So it started a long time ago. So tell me, like, what got you into empanadas and what made you bring them to Doylestown?
So I grew up in Doylestown. And then after college, I moved to Buenos Aires in Argentina. And I lived there for 2 years. And while I was living there, they eat empanadas kind of like the way American families would be eating a pizza. It's a quick dinner fix. They're on every corner. And I learned how to make the empanadas. I was teaching English while I was living there. And so in the homes, while I was doing the lessons, the wife would usually be cooking something for dinner, and 9 times out of 10, it happened to be empanadas. Wow. And I would knock a couple bucks off the lesson if I was allowed to stay for dinner. And I like to cook at home. I grew up in a household that cooked. So I kind of picked up how to cook from the women in the home. And that's really how I got into making empanadas. Wow. And then when I moved back to Doylestown, I had a background in restaurant and just kind of applied that background to a different product. I started making the empanadas out of my house kind of as a hobby, just to see where it would go. And a bunch of local business owners in town would hit me up on Facebook and be like, hey, can I get an order dropped off, or can you come meet me here and I'll buy a box? So I was doing it out of my apartment for the first few weeks until the health department said, all right, you got to get a real space here.
I think you kind of downplay it, but it's not easy to make it in the restaurant business. I mean, think about how many times the Doylestown restaurants have turned over. And I'm talking about the first time I had these was in 2015. We're almost going on 9 years.
Yeah.
So did you see it playing out like that? Was it?
I mean, it was beautiful because it did happen so organically. So I think, a lot of these people that start restaurants, they take on a ton of overhead. They write business plans. They're really rigid. They have investors. I was very, very fortunate in the fact that I just started creating a product and allowed it. I only invested what I was making. So the risk was really low. And it kind of enabled me to roll with the punches, see what's working, what's not working, get a space when I could afford it. And a lot of things, more organically piled on. So I was really fortunate in that sense.
So would you think it's more of understanding business and how to run a business as opposed to just opening a restaurant and seeing what happens?
I think the biggest thing is the work ethic. You have to be willing to just keep going in and problem solving. Being willing to adapt to the circumstances. Business changed during COVID, after COVID. I mean, so many things have evolved. We went from a full dining restaurant to takeout only with a Dutch door because there's so many variables that are unpredictable with managing people and with whatever's gonna come.
How do you come up with the recipes? Like, how does that process go down? And then how do you teach the kitchen to cook that?
So travel is still in my blood since I went to Argentina. I haven't been back to Argentina, but I really love the concept of taking recipes from other cultures and finding a way to modify it so that it can be put inside of an empanada. And then the other thing is, teaching the staff. It's kind of beautiful because I hire people from all different cultures, a lot of them being, Latin or South American, but I usually only hire women, and these are women who know how to cook.
Wow.
Not professionally, but they are bringing something to the table. Here, I brought it in, it's from Philly. I picked it up at a restaurant. How do we make this into an empanada? And it's a collaborative effort to say, wow, I know how to do that. I know how to do this. And we all kind of play to make it work.
Wow. Yeah, they're amazing. I mean, every time I walk, over there to order something, I see them hand rolling the empanadas, and it's incredible. I mean, really is. And then, so I want to get into the part of expansion a little bit. I know Nourish by Mama is also ran by you, which is fantastic. I know that a lot of, the employees in this office rave about Nourish by Mama. That's like their go-to. So almost like a polar opposite, right? I mean, I can't find steak or chicken on the menu over there.
Right.
I can find eggs.
You can.
So what was is that still Argentinian based or?
So again, with the flexibility of being a business owner, people are going vegan, they're going gluten-free. Yeah. And so when that space became available, I was like, okay, we can do something really cool that serves another niche, or a void in this community food-wise.
Interesting.
And so that's how it kind of came to be. But it was really from people coming into Empanada Mama and asking for salads. And I was like, what do you mean? They're like, nobody else in town is doing a good, cheap salad. And I was like, okay, I need to change that.
So now on to even another project that you started, Lula.
Yeah.
The tequila bar here in town. Just run us through that opportunity there and what inspired, Lula.
The Goldmans, who own Puck, Bill, Lynn, and then their son Kurt, they had reached out and they said, we're going to move our liquor license and we've got this cool connection for this mezcal and tequila from Oaxaca, which one of the places I love to travel is Mexico. And I really love mezcal. And so they brought me a couple bottles as a sample. I was like, yeah, this shit's really good. I like it. And they were like, well, do you want to do food? Because we can do the bar, but we need somebody to do the food. It's a happy space.
Yeah, of course.
It fills a really nice void. The music is upbeat. You don't feel like you're in like a dark, kind of wintry space. So it's good.
It's a good social environment.
Exactly.
And I don't think a lot of people know it's even associated with Empanada Mama. I know that it's always hard to tell where you're headed and, in the next 5 to 10 years, but obviously I hope all the success to you. We'll always order empanadas and pop over to Lula, and I'm excited to see the whole thing grow.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
I mean, even foremost, if you can, maybe just leave us with some advice to other business owners or, entrepreneurs, restaurant owners, whatever, that they could take to heart and really kind of, do their own thing.
I think a lot of business owners set something up, and then once they get the right people in place, initially they kind of start to back off. Mm-hmm. And in order to really stay so in tune, that's why the quality has stayed where it is. I'm walking through those back doors every day and checking in on those individuals that work with me. And it really does, it does boil down, now that I have the 3, and this is what I learned definitely this summer since opening Lula, is you have to have the right people in place. You're only as good as a business owner as your weakest employee. So really taking the time to find the right people and nurture them and try to keep them as long as possible, especially in restaurant, is super, super important.